Okay, it being 7:01, I'm going to open up the December 3rd, 2020 Planning Board meeting. What I do need to do, first of all, I'm going to make a statement, is I need to know which members are in participation. It looks like Amy Troop.
Yep.
Rick Mary.
Here.
Alan Diaz. Did I miss anyone?
Not yet.
I don't think so.
Gordon's not on?
Not yet.
I don't see him.
Okay, all right. I'm going to start the meeting pursuant to Governor Baker's 3/2020 order. We are holding this meeting remotely. All votes will be taken by roll call. Audience participation is allowed. Participants will be required to give their names and addresses, and all questions will be going through the chair. 7 o'clock, we have a Bracken Engineering, Scott Burgess, 8 Hilda Lane. Mr. Bracken, are you on board?
Yes, here.
Okay, I would ask that, would you like to make a presentation? What I'd like to do first of all is, which part of the program are you going to start with? You want to start with the subdivision modification, or are you going to start with your site plan review?
I'd like to start with the modification, please.
Okay, fine. And we did speak earlier, you are going to be doing some, we're having some technical difficulties. Charlie, can you tell where that noise is coming from?
Well, I'll keep a track of it, sorry.
Okay.
Folks, if you're not speaking right now, or if you're not a member, please, if you could mute your mics.
Mr. Bracken, I'm going to ask
Yes.
that you can, you are going to be doing some screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're gonna, it's your dime.
All right. Can everybody see this on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go through the subdivision modification request first. I'm not sure if anyone on the current planning board was around in 2005 when this plan was originally approved for the subdivision. What I'm showing right now is the cover sheet that best describes the entire project. A proposed road known as Hilda Lane, dead-end cul-de-sac, was approved, along with a total of 8 lots, but one of the lots, I'm sorry, 2, 4, 6, 7 lots, but one of the lots was a drainage lot. I'll zoom in a little bit. So the subdivision road, as you probably know, was never built, and it has never been rescinded. So we feel it's still an approved subdivision road that could be built. There have been a couple of plan changes that were recorded at the Registry of Deeds since this plan was recorded. One was combining these 2 lots, 6 and 7, into one lot. Lot 6 had a house on it when the subdivision was proposed. Had frontage on Haywood Street, is now going to have frontage on Hilda Lane. And then these lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and the drainage lot were all combined as one lot for a plan at the Registry of Deeds. I'm going to stop this share to go to another plan. Can everybody see this new plan that I just put up?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what we did, we took the construction plan for the subdivision road and overlaid in red the proposed changes from that original plan that was approved in 2005. The biggest change that we're proposing is to install a water line. When the subdivision was approved, originally, there was no water service in Hayward Street. So we're showing a proposed looped water line along with 2 hydrants. That was change number 1. Change number 2, if you can see my hand going around this area, that's the old drainage basin that was designed for most of the first 400 or 500 feet of road. When we looked at the project, we were the original engineers.
What is that?
When we took over, we added the 200-foot riverfront area that comes into the property. And what happened was the basin that was previously designed fell within that 200-foot riverfront area. Because we also have to go back to the Conservation Commission and file a notice of intent. Because the order of conditions that
Your mic.
was previously approved has obviously expired. So we haven't filed with the Conservation Commission yet. You know, this is our first meeting and our first stop. So what we did was we reconfigured the basin the same size that was previously approved, closer to the road, in order to get it out of the 200-foot riverfront area.
For some reason, 97 jumped right.
One of the other things to note is that it was probably designed in this area originally in order to leave a buildable area here where we're now proposing the basin. The third change is the previous plan showed proposed driveway aprons to go to each newly created lot. This plan, we're showing, we eliminated those driveway aprons, and we're showing 2 new driveway aprons to accommodate the future development for the multifamily project that's next on the agenda. Because the scope of the project has changed for the whole subdivision, we thought it was best to now put the drainage area outside the riverfront area. And now everything south of it and south of the road will remain undeveloped. The existing drainage basin at the end of the cul-de-sac was designed to handle this section of the road. That's not being changed, and we're not proposing any changes to this basin either.
Now, where is that one that you were speaking of? I'm sorry.
Amy, can you just hold on, let him finish his presentation?
I just wanted to know where this basin he's talking about is so that I can
Just
follow.
hold your questions and let him make his presentation, please.
Actually, I'm pretty much done, but I'm circling the basin that was previously approved that we're not altering or changing. It still falls within the 100-foot buffer of the wetland, so we still will have to go back to the Conservation Commission and have that reviewed again, but it doesn't fall within the 200-foot riverfront area. So we tried to make the changes as simple as possible, keeping with the original design as much as possible. The last minor change was the location of a subsurface drainage system located near the roadway intersection where I'm circling. I think since the subdivision was designed, a utility pole was installed where the old proposed system was, so we shifted that over to avoid the telephone pole. But that actually serves this existing house that I mentioned previously. All the proposed utilities will be underground as previously approved to serve any future development. And we added some construction details, again, only specifically for the proposed water system. The profile, same thing, was revised to include the water line and revise some of the elevations on the drainage system to accommodate shifting the subsurface infiltration system. So I think I'll stop there for the subdivision modifications and answer any questions. I have other plans from the previous subdivision if you want to see them. Hopefully I can pull up whatever you need to make it clearer.
Okay, Don, just so that that I'm clear, I didn't see any circles.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I didn't
Oh,
see
you
anything.
didn't see my mouse moving on the,
So
Okay.
Neither did I.
okay.
when you go
I
back,
thought you could see that.
Well, I knew what you were talking about because I got the plan, so.
Okay, all right.
so the basin that the interior basin up coming off the cul-de-sac is the one that you're not changing? That's the one I think you attempted to circle?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then the other one would be the infiltration basin near Haywood Street.
Correct.
Okay.
So that-
And then all the other distances, it appears that you have taken that main drainage area out of the riparian zone.
Mhm.
Okay. What I'd like to do is I'm going to open this up for questions from the board just on this portion. And then we'll get into the next portion. Any members of the board got any questions on this?
I would like to see this side by side with what it was so I can see the differences, if that's possible.
So what we did was anything that's has changed is in red. And anything black underneath it was what was originally approved.
Okay, did you say that in the beginning? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if, you can see me zooming in, correct, I assume?
No.
Okay. So, all right, sorry about that. I thought you would be able to see it.
I did the first time you did it, but since
Huh.
then it hasn't done it.
Sorry about that. I'm going to
Okay.
stop the share and go back. What about now? Do you see me zoomed in on a portion of the plan? All right, great.
Zoomed in. Mr. Bracken, can you hold on one second?
Sure.
Charlie, I see Gordon's name. Did Gordon appear?
Yes.
What
Yes,
time,
I've been on.
what time did you come on?
It was about 4 minutes after 7.
Okay, just so, Joanne, just for the record, Gordon at 7:04.
I got that, yep.
Go ahead, continue, Mr. Bracken.
Okay, now can you see the hand?
Yes, yes.
Okay, excellent. All right. So if you follow the hand, this was the original drainage basin that was designed.
Okay.
Okay. And again, it was, I think in this configuration, because it was a buildable lot over here at one point proposed. This is the riparian zone, this gray dash line. So you can see that this portion of the old basin was within the riparian zone. So in red is where we're going to move the basin. Same size, we're just shifting it over to get it out of the riparian zone.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bracken, do you mind just going to the other, at the end of the cul-de-sac and just go over that basin again? That's the one that this one here. Okay, that's fine. That's the
Correct,
one.
great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
question. Okay, that's,
So, yep, same thing. Everything in black is original. The wetland line has been updated. That's in green. That's a new line. So this will stay in place as designed.
can you just spell out the purple line? Is that the 50-foot?
That's the 50-foot, correct.
And the
And
green line would be the 100-foot.
That's the 100-foot, correct.
Anybody?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
One thing I was going to point out is that there's a, the wetland line comes through. We do have a wetland crossing. There's an oversized culvert under the road. We're not changing any of that, not changing any of the hydraulic calculations that go with it or anything like that.
And that wetlands crossing, I saw that on the plan, was approved during the original subdivision approval process?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Any of the members, Rick, Gordon, got any questions at this point?
No, I'm good with it.
Well, looks good.
Okay, hearing none. Mr. Bracken, one question, I got a couple of questions. You originally had a subdivision plan. It appears now that you've taken all the lots out, so you're creating one lot. Is that the intent with this modification?
Creating one lot over in this area. There's still one lot here that will have access and rights to the road when it's built. So basically it would be two lots, but we are not involved with this project over here. That's another ownership. So Mr. Burgess, has control over the road and over this one big lot.
Okay. Next portion of your presentation.
Okay, do you want me to move to the multifamily submission, or do you want?
Yeah, if there's no other questions on the subdivision modification at this point, no. I'm assuming that the board is going to want to have this sent out to be reviewed.
Okay.
Which we can, we'll make that decision, and then whatever review comments, we can deal with that.
Okay. Okay, let me, Can everybody see the new plan that I just put up? Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, so now that you're familiar with the subdivision, again, this is the one big lot that I mentioned. It's 21.75 acres. By the way, I'm going to give just sort of a brush overview. I'm assuming the purpose of tonight's meeting is just to accept the plan and, schedule a future meeting to review it in more detail. The other thing is we have a zoning board of appeals meeting scheduled for December 14th. So it probably would make sense to schedule it sometime after that meeting, I would think. This proposal under the multifamily bylaw consists of, let me get my notes. Consists of 4 buildings with 4 units and 1 building with 5 units for a total number of units of 21. As I'm sure you know, under the bylaw, you're allowed 1 unit per acre. We thought that this type of development and this type of setup would fit best with the site constraints that we have, given the wetlands to the south and to the west, and then the wetland system to the east as well. Each unit would have its own septic tank. They'd connect to a common septic system. The drainage for the site itself would be contained in the middle of this landscaped area. We are going to have town water, as was mentioned. Each unit is going to have a garage and 3 bedrooms. Again, we have to file with the Conservation Commission, because as you can see from that cyan colored line, portions of some of the buildings and some of the site work will be within 100 feet of the bordering vegetated wetland. We obviously will also have to file with the Board of Health. As I mentioned, we filed with the zoning board for a special permit under the multifamily bylaw. We also applied for 3 variances under the zoning. A variance to have more than 1 multifamily building on a lot. We're asking for a variance to the front road setback in this area for 2 of the buildings. We're also asking for variances for the separation distance between the buildings. We feel we can make an argument for the variances, given the fact that we could technically meet the bylaws with 1 large building with the 21 units, but we feel that this is a much better type of development in the location, you know, given all the features of the site and all the site constraints. I think with that, I'll be happy to answer any specific questions you have. Again, I didn't want to go into too much detail until you probably had more time to look at the plans and so forth. So.
Okay, at this point, I'll open it up to the board. Does anybody have any comments? Amy?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Gordon? Gordon, can you?
Not right at the moment. I don't. I'm still studying the
Rick?
plan. I picked
Not
it up
any
late.
comments. It looks pretty good.
Mr.
Now,
Bracken,
both the septics and, there's nothing on the septic yet.
Mr. Bracken, while Amy's getting her stuff together, the first variance that you're going to be looking for from the ZBA is going to be to have 1 building on a lot. Is that what you said?
Correct. The bylaw right now says each multifamily building has to be on its own separate lot.
Correct.
Which, to be honest, I've done a lot of multifamily projects. I've never seen that anywhere before, but so be it. But the bylaw doesn't restrict how many units you can have in 1 building either. So, you know, when we looked at this, we could have just designed 1 big building with 21 units, but we really didn't feel that it was appropriate at this site. So this is what we felt would work best on the site.
Okay. I have an additional question. Based on the drawings, it looks like that the buildings are interconnected. And I'm just looking from your drawing now. I haven't looked at the full size. The connections between the building, is that just what you have on the plan? These buildings are separate?
They are definitely all separate. You know, the closest they get to one another is 43 feet right in this area.
Why does this plan showing, it appears to be some sort of connection?
It's all the parking area.
I think it's the dimensions, yeah, and maybe the parking obviously does connect them, but you know, the buildings themselves are not connected.
Even from the original drawing, okay, I see the parking. Okay, I'm sorry. That is the parking.
Mm-hmm.
That's the parking lot that I'm looking at, not the.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay, I see it on the main print.
And so, you know, we have a lot of parking. The bylaw requires 2.5 spaces per unit. And we provided that without including the garage spaces. So we always feel more parking is better, but you know, if we included the garage spaces, we could eliminate some of the parking if we wanted to. But I know parking always comes up as a concern in any of these multifamily developments. So we think we have a lot more parking than what would normally be required.
Amy, we're waiting on you. Did you have any questions for this on this portion?
A few, actually. I would look at 167-15 B, specifically (3A).
We all don't have a zoning book, so do you mind reading whatever?
167-15-4.
Do you mind reading what those are? I do not have my zoning book here.
Oh. So it's to do with the floodplain and building within the floodplain. So 16715B is development regulations. The following requirements apply in a floodplain district. And one is within Zone A, where the base flood elevation is not provided on the FIRM, the applicant shall obtain any existing base flood elevation data, and it shall be reviewed by the building inspector and its reasonable utilization toward meet. That's not the one I was talking about, though. Hold on.
Do you want him to address the floodplain issue first?
Yeah, we're not proposing any of these units in the flood zone. There is a flood zone that comes up by the river over to the east in this area. But the development itself is out of the flood zone. So it doesn't fall within that district.
Your project notes do indicate that there is a portion of the parcel that's in the flood zone.
Correct. And that would be over by the river. I could go back to the existing conditions plan. I believe it's on that plan.
Could you, just to clarify that, because sometimes the flood zone might be well beyond the riparian zone in some cases.
So especially on 16715B4, all subdivision proposals must be designed to assure that A, such proposals minimize flood damage, B, all public utilities and facilities are located and constructed to minimize or eliminate flood, and C, adequate drainage is provided to reduce exposure to flood hazards. So where you are in it at all, you have to follow this bylaw.
Correct. I don't think that applies, but that is something that everyone can investigate before the next meeting. I changed my screen somehow, and I'm trying to get out.
Your screen still shows with us, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the share. Zach, it went to this, right?
Go to the bottom of the screen, Tomo. Make sure you share.
Good. All right. I just got some younger guy to help me here, so let me.
Students of color typically do not have access to high-quality computer science and education.
Can everybody see the screen right now?
Yep. I can.
Okay, so you can see the river down and on the east. Here's the flood zone line right here.
Okay.
All right, so everything to the east of that line is in the flood zone, and everything to the west is not.
Mr. Bracken, excuse me. If you've got your Ouija going around, it's not working on my screen.
Yeah, you might want to start share and pull again.
Okay. It appears that the squiggly line at the where's your north arrow? Yeah. You have a north arrow in this?
It should be going straight up the page, I believe.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. So is that the river that runs north to south? Or,
yes, it does.
Okay. That's the lower portion of the plan.
I'm really messing up here. Hold on.
We have, Charlie, we have somebody waiting to get in.
As far as I know, everybody's in
Get back to that screen share, Zach.
at the top of the list, and the people were there in the waiting room, and I allowed everybody in.
They claim different, but just so you know.
I'm looking. If you look at your participant list.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying they were there.
No, and I understand.
Okay.
And you-
All right.
right,
She's
they were-
on.
they
She's
were in
on.
the Meeting room and.
She's on.
I apologize for this. Does everybody see this now?
No.
Not yet. Okay, we have it now, Don.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so again, here, I don't know if you can see my mouse now, but the river is to the east.
Can see it now.
Yeah, and now this is the flood zone line right here. So everything to the east is in an A flood zone, and everything to the west is in a what they call a B zone, which is minimal flooding or flooding up to a 500-year storm. So the technically the flood zone is east of this line.
Okay.
And here's the development up in this area.
Does that answer your question, Amy?
For now.
Okay.
I also would like to talk about the setbacks on the buildings. Sorry, the distance between the buildings.
Okay, I think I got out of that drawing, but
You did.
hold on one sec. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm back, I hope. Can you see that screen?
Yep.
With the buildings back on it?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right. So what was the question on the setbacks?
So, you might have 21 acres, but do you have to use it? Because the setbacks between the buildings that you're getting a variance on, what is the hardship that you can't just do less and comply with our bylaw?
Well, if we were to do more, we would have, we would need to combine the buildings, like I said before, either in one big building or two larger buildings. And we do have the constraints because of the wetlands to try to condense the development. So the hardship would be topography related to the wetlands.
I believe that it was purchased, though, knowing all of these things, so it's not really a hardship.
Well, from my experience, if it's legitimate with the land, it shouldn't matter who purchased it or what that basis was.
Well, I'm just speaking for the town of Halifax, and the bylaw is set to protect us within schools, police, fire, roads, population, water supply. Like, these are here for reasons. And I can see that you want to make as much, not you personally, and I'm being respectful by saying 21 units because you have 21 acres. However, our bylaws are to protect the town and its water supply and its population of roads and schools. So that would be why I would say we need to follow the Halifax bylaws. And these are a lot of waivers to come by in a near flood zone that could very much, with all of this digging, is certainly going to affect the nearby flood zones.
Well, if I may, again, the alternative would be one larger building. So it would be the same number of units, the same amount of water, the same amount of sewage. So as far as, protecting the town for all those items that you listed, I think these particular bylaws can be varied and still accomplish that. Obviously it's on a case-by-case basis. So we don't think that there's going to be any additional detriment to water quality or the environment with this plan as opposed to one larger building. And we feel that the separation that's proposed is, you know, even greater than most multifamily developments that we've seen. We also feel that the setback from the road, this is a very unique situation because we're not on an existing road. We're building a road that's 850 feet long off of a public road. This will be a private road. In essence, the road itself is really a driveway to the multifamily development. So I can appreciate the setback from a roadway requirement of 75 feet, but in this case, we're 800 feet from a public road. And the roadway layout that's here is, you know, technically providing frontage for the development. So I don't see how that burying that bylaw would derogate from the intent of the bylaw.
I would disagree because it's already set out and labeled at the registry as a road, a public road.
Well, technically it is a private road, not a public road. And only those that have rights on it can use it, so.
Amy, can I interject for a second? The bylaws that you just quoted, I didn't write them down. Were those under the subdivision control or under the zoning?
They're under multifamily, 16712.
Okay, so those are zoning. So those are really not going to be under the purview of the planning board. Am I correct? I'd have to look at the bylaws, but
that would be our opinion, and that's why we, you know, it'll be in front of the ZBA, and
okay,
it'll be up to them to grant the variances. And the building variances and setback variances were also approved in 2008 for a previous multifamily project that was approved by the zoning board. So I know it's probably a different board and there are different people around, but I think they saw it wise back in 2008 to grant those variances, and we hope they see it this way on this particular project.
okay. Any other comments from any of the board members?
One thing is we do need to take a look at the zoning.
Can you
hear me?
identify yourself? Is that Gordon? Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we do need to take a look at the zoning bylaws as the planning board when we look at this as well. So, you know, we definitely need to take a look at that. And this is coming as a site plan, isn't it?
Yep, a site plan modification.
So we're going to do a review on the site plan?
Yeah, that's going to be the next phase. He's going to go through the subdivision modification process, and then we'll talk about the site plan. All right, Mr. Bracken, is there anything else under the subdivision modification?
Not that I can think of. As you said, I assume you're going to hire your engineering consultant to review both, and we'll come back for the next meeting after that happens.
Okay. All right, so do you want to proceed with the site plan review request? I think everybody's got a copy of it. Maybe you can
Yep.
share that, Mr. Bracken. I think it's going to be the same original plan.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So I know you have a time constraint for the site plan. I'm not sure, you know, when this actually starts the clock, whether it's tonight's meeting or when we submitted it, but we would be happy to give you whatever extensions you need in writing. So you have enough time to review and have your consultants review, and we can come back and.
Have the abutters been notified?
The abutters have been notified for the zoning board. I don't believe abutter notification is required for site plan review.
I believe they
Did you
do.
notify any abutters for any of this process other than the special permit?
Excuse me?
Did you notify any of the abutters on the subdivision modification?
No, we haven't. So if, in my letter, I think I put out there that I wasn't sure whether or not a public hearing was going to be required for the subdivision modification because we weren't asking for any lot line changes. We're only asking, for what we had proposed in design changes. But, that would be up to you, I assume. And if you want to hold a public hearing, then we can coordinate that, for the next public hearing meeting.
Okay.
Well, you are putting all of these units
Amy,
on
just hold on.
one lot.
Amy, please, just hold on a second. Mr. Bracken, what I'd like to do is just hold off a second just on the initial site plan. I didn't really ask any of the members of the audience if they had any comments on the original subdivision modification. So I would like to do that at this time. Charlie, you're the host.
Do this one at a time, so I'll unmute people and then we'll see if they have anything.
Yeah, this is strictly on the subdivision modification process.
Sure.
Anybody in the audience, we're going to please identify themselves for the record.
Right, so I'm going to start so order here is 339-933-401. Person calling in by phone. Nope, okay. iPhone. Nope, Ashless or Ashley.
They're here for Franklin Street.
Diane Burgess.
Yes.
Alan's asked if the audience has any comments on the subdivision plan.
I do not.
We think it's great.
And can you identify yourself since you're now speaking for the record?
Scott Burgess.
Okay.
He's the developer.
All I had was Ashless, so I can't read between the lines there. Gordon's on mute, but he's on the list. Halifax citizen. Nope. And there's Joanne, iPhone. We already did Halifax citizen, Diane Burgess, Ashless. I think we've done everybody who's here.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Bracken, we're going to proceed. I'm sorry. Somebody had a comment? Okay. Why don't we we'll proceed with the initial site plan review, which you did. Is there anything you want to add to that? You want to bring that other plan back up to see if any of the members got a comment on the site plan review portion?
I'll go back to. Do you want this? This is the site plan. Did you say you want the subdivision again, or what?
Okay, this is the site plan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the initial plan was just on the subdivision modifications.
Right.
Okay. Any of the board members or any audience members have any questions or concerns on the site plan?
I'm good at this point.
Okay, no, having heard nothing else. Okay, Mr. Bracken, at this point, is there anything else you want to add to the subdivision modification and the site plan review?
The only thing I want to clarify is that they're two separate applications. The modification to the subdivision, really, the only thing it has to do with this development is the location of the two curb cuts we're now showing on the roadway construction plan. So the subdivision modification is solely focused on the roadway construction.
Okay. I'm going to ask the board what's their pleasure on.
Alan, just a second. And the modification on that is also to remove lot lines?
Mhm.
No, well, the lot lines have already been removed and it's already reflected this way on the assessors map. They were removed, I'm assuming, in 2008 when the last multifamily development was proposed, because that was also proposed on one lot as we're showing it today.
But it wasn't, because last year we had this in front of us with lot lines, so that's not true.
The latest recorded plans, the two plans recorded at the registry of deeds show this is one lot, and the other two lots that I pointed out earlier that we don't have control over is one lot.
But where the one next to the drainage, is that now gone, or was that gone before?
That was gone before. I can pull up the plan.
Please, please.
Can everybody see this plan?
Yes, can you,
Hopefully. Okay, so
it looks like a perimeter plan. Can you just bring up the caption down at the bottom as to how this was recorded?
this was what's called an 81X plan, no new ways or lines plan. Like you said, Mr. Chairman, also referred to as a perimeter plan.
Okay, so this is the plan, and this was recorded, I can't see the date, 2008?
2008, yeah.
Gordon, I wasn't on the board when you said or Amy, you had another plan that came in a few years ago that showed a subdivision?
Last year.
Last year that showed a subdivision, okay. And now we have a plan that does not show a subdivision.
That's right.
No.
Well, I mean, if we had to, we could. It's up to the planning board. There does seem it could be looked at as there's a step missing between the subdivision and this plan. We could modify our request simply to remove the old interior lot lines from the original subdivision plan to sort of clear up the record. If you think that that would. We're going by, again, we were going by this plan. It was all the same ownership, so they combined them all into one lot, leaving the road there as it was originally laid out.
Well, then we would have to go back to multifamily 167-12 and read, and it would state that each building needed to be on its own separate lot.
I think he just mentioned that you're going to look for a variance on that.
Correct.
Mr. Brackett, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just think it would clean it up if we did say that we were modifying that to remove those lines as well. I think it would create a clearer picture of what was happening.
That's fine. We can revise, our request for the modification to include that.
But just so you know, it still won't follow our bylaw.
Correct. Yeah,
So, Mr. Bracken, just for my own edification, you created a subdivision, or someone created a subdivision many years ago, and you did a perimeter plan to remove the lot lines. And I thought that part of the presentation, you were going to create some access for one of those lots on Hillborn Lane through this subdivision plan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really not a subdivision.
No, it still is a subdivision. In our mind, Hillborn Lane still exists. So what I was referring to, I think, was this house on the left as you head into Hillborn Lane. Will have new frontage on, it has frontage on Hillborn Lane as a paper road, but it will have actual frontage on Hillborn Lane after the road is built. So to be clear, there would be two lots if this proposal goes forward as we've designed on Hilda Lane.
Okay.
Because once this subdivision goes in, that other lot becomes a lot
Mhm.
that has frontage on it as well. Isn't that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So I think the problem comes in when you say that it's going to be maintained as a private way,
Mhm.
because we're creating another lot on that. I think it really needs to be a public way.
I think it would be like any other subdivision having a private way.
We don't
Okay.
have them in Halifax.
Well, I think every subdivision road has to be a private way until the town meeting accepts it as a public way.
Okay, now.
Correct.
Okay, so would there be a condominium agreement that would maintain Hilda Lane?
Yes, there would be. It would be maintained, even if we only built one house on the large lot, it would still be the same subdivision road. And as a private road, there would have to be an association for maintenance. So,
And what happens with the houses that are already on there as far as that association to maintain that road? That kind of tends to be the problem.
well, I can do a little bit more research, but my understanding is that the house on the left has an agreement. There's some kind of agreement that they would have access off of Hilda Lane. The first one on the right that has their driveway coming from Hilda Lane,
Their frontage is on
their
Hayward.
frontage is on Haywood Street, and I
Right.
don't believe technically they have access rights to Hilda Lane, but I can confirm that.
But they have frontage on it.
They have frontage on it, right? But just because, again, if it's a private road, that was their lot line. Developer comes in and builds the road. In my opinion, they're not required to give them access unless they agree to it.
Mr. Bracken, if anything else you want to add?
I'll just say, to follow up on what, we'll do some additional research. I can understand the concern with those two existing houses in the next, round in the presentation. I'll be more prepared with the documents and be able to explain it.
Okay.
We have one abutter that, I don't know, chatted or something. Charlie, did you see that? I saw something come up on the bottom of the screen.
Diane, so if you want, I can, as you just did for the subdivision, I can unmute people, and if they have comments on the site plan, we can do it one at a time.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Is that okay, Alan?
yes, that's fine.
Okay. Let's go through this again. So Diane, we've already done. iPhone. Okay. Ashley.
I have no comments.
Okay. Diane, you'll have to identify yourself.
Hello, yes.
Hi, Diane. You're speaking to the board. You'll need to identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, Diane Bradford, 131 Hayward Street. I'm at the corner of Hilda and Hayward. I'm just very concerned about this whole project. I just found out about this now. The last time we went to a big meeting at Town Hall, it was going to be like a one family with like a two family, and he wasn't going to build any more homes. And now all of a sudden we got, 5 condominiums with 3 or 4 houses each?
That's correct.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. We didn't want that to go through, and now you're asking us to have this in our backyard?
Okay.
And just for the record, I don't know if you were on there looking for variances coming up at the next zoning board meeting for units more than one building on each lot, on one lot, front road setbacks, and separation between buildings.
Okay.
And
I
then-
mean, I had a hard time getting on this, so I pretty much missed this whole thing, but, I was trying to get on and I was driving when I first found out about it. So I guess next Monday is another meeting about this, which I will contact all neighbors because nobody knew about this meeting tonight.
Okay.
So,
Diane, you would prefer that we have some sort of a public meeting on this?
yes, I'm very much requesting that. It was totally unfair.
Okay.
I mean,
Our bylaws don't require it, but let me talk with the rest of the board. I'm kind of in agreement that the abutters should be
Me too.
notified, not necessarily by certified mail, but notified in the changes, especially since you had a subdivision and then the perimeter plan was filed. So let me just make sure we don't have any other more comments, and then we can address that.
okay.
Charlie? Okay. Do you want to continue?
Let's see, Halifax citizen wrote to me saying that that person has no comments. There's a second iPhone on the list. That person wants to speak, they could do it now. And we got nothing, and I believe that's the end of the list.
Okay. What I'm going to ask the board, it sounds like that although a public hearing is not necessary, and I think that because the applicant needs to make some revisions in the plan based on meeting tonight, I'd be looking for a motion that we do have a public hearing on the.
I'll make it. I'll make a motion.
Hold on, let me just, on the subdivision modification process. But I also want to ask for a continuance on the initial site plan review because there's a 30-day window on that. So I would be looking for a motion for the subdivision modification.
Why don't we just start it off with the notification and open it up properly when we have the abutters notified? So I motion that we notify all abutters by certified mail and start the process to be fair to the developer at that time. But I absolutely think it should be certified mail to all abutters.
I would appreciate that being an abutter.
Hold on, ma'am. Hold on. We're in the middle of a vote. So you can, if you want to go discussion, we can do a discussion. So I have a motion on the floor to have a public hearing with certified abutter notification. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Gordon seconds. We're going to go to a roll call vote. Amy?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Rick?
Sure.
Alan? Yes. Okay. Next part of this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would just, I'm just going to point out, we'll be in charge of the abutter notification.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Correct. And you'll
By certified mail.
You'll
Yep.
submit that to the planning board office. You can kind of follow the subdivision rules
Yep.
as far as hearing notice. I don't know if it's 14 days, 10 days, 7 days, but
Yeah,
I don't think we need any public advertising, which I'm not 100% sure you do on a subdivision, but about a notification with, probably 14 days notice would be.
so I think, we may need public notification.
Yeah.
So under the state statute, if you decide that a public hearing is required, but we'll check that out and we'll coordinate that as well. That obviously that's our responsibility as the applicant. So
Okay.
That was really, that's why I sort of posed it the way I did in the letter. If you determine that we needed the public hearing, then we would, with the change, we'll have it. That'll give us an opportunity also to resubmit new requests, including, the items we talked about that we'll address.
Do I need to make a motion to make sure that it is publicly noticed?
You're going
Or can we do
to
that?
follow the state, you're going to follow
Exactly.
subdivision control guidelines.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. And the second portion of that on the site plan review,
Alan,
we need, I'm sorry.
you need a date and time, or at least, I'm assuming you want a date and time for that hearing.
Well, I think that it's probably going to start when he needs the abutters list, but
Yeah.
thank you very much, Charlie.
Charlie, I kind of think that if he's going to do a submission, all right, I don't know how long it's going to take for him to make these changes in the plans, but I would think that, or what I would suggest that they do a full submission. You can contact the secretary in the office. She can give you a date that'll work according to the statute. And because right now we're pretty much for discussion. So I can give you a date, but I don't know that that's going to work. Plus you've got ZBA and so forth and so on. Unless, Charlie, you think that we're going to be violating some regulation by not giving them a date.
Well,
No, because how are we supposed to? And
Charlie, hold on.
no, Charlie doesn't run our meeting.
Isn't he going to resubmit this?
Yes, he's gonna do a submission.
So when he
Resubmit.
submits it, that's when the time clock will start. So we send him the date for the hearing, and that's when it'll start.
That's correct.
And if it makes it easier, I can formally withdraw this first submission.
That might make it simpler.
I think it would make the record, I think, cleaner going forward. So,
You can make that formal request to the office tomorrow?
yes, I will.
Okay, and then resubmit
I
it?
won't be able to do it tomorrow, but
Whenever. Okay, and I think that'll probably solve Charlie's concern.
yeah, we don't want to complicate the record. So we will resubmit, request a public hearing,
Okay.
and do the whole thing.
I'm going to also ask that if you file your site plan at the same time, that's not going to be, the site plan has a 30-day window, and there's no way that we're going to be able to act on the site plan without clarifying the subdivision plan itself. So I
have a question.
Either that you hold off on that or you can file it, but obviously we're going to need some extensions.
Well, he's going to withdraw and restart, so that would be that. But with the whole variances, maybe you should be holding off on the variances until you have the site plan and you know what's going to happen. I mean,
well, I think we know what we want to happen anyway. We definitely want to proceed forward with the variances to get similar feedback like we're getting here. If we get to the Board of Appeals and we get feedback that indicates we're not going to be able to go forward, then we'll withdraw at that point.
is there public notice to the abutters for that meeting?
Yep, definitely. And it's been advertised in the newspaper already. But what I would like to do is, maybe for now give like a 60-day extension for the site plan. I think that would
if you're going to start it over, I think that the whole thought plan was that you were going to remove this and then put in for the abutters list and start over.
No, we're not starting over with the site plan. The only thing we would start over with is the subdivision modification, which only has to do with the construction of the road. And now we're going to add the removal of the old interior lot lines. So there's still two separate issues. The site plan and the ZBA is one issue and the subdivision is another.
So then what you're looking to do is submit the site plan, give an extension so that everything will just keep moving forward.
Correct. Well, we've already officially submitted the site plan, but we're happy to give a 60-day extension to obviously allow more time. And then within that 60 days, we're still going to, I think, be going back and forth with the subdivision modification at the same time. So we can stay focused on the whole project as we go forward.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think that we need a vote on that. My other question to the board, is there anything else, Mr. Bracken?
It would be great if we could do a regular hearing for a project like this, but I don't know if that's going to be in the cards or not.
I don't think so between now and January, February. My next question to the board is that we had a prior subdivision, we had an interior lot line change, we've got some serious modifications. I'm going to kind of be looking for a motion that I think that we should be getting some legal advice on what has happened. A few years ago, was it a year or two ago, Amy, you said that you saw another plan that showed a subdivision?
It was last year.
Last year.
It was November of 2019.
maybe just to give us some advice as to,
Well, we have access for town council
Okay.
to be able to ask the questions. If we have questions, we can send them to town council. Planning board does have the right to do that.
okay, all right. So what I'm going to ask is that if any members got anything, get them over to Joanne. We'll get them submitted. The board, I'm going to ask for a vote, though, that we use town council with our questions. And that'll keep it clear. So I'm going to be looking for a motion. Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to,
To use town council to assist us in this subdivision on.
I don't think we need it. I don't think we need a motion. We already have that right.
yeah, I don't think we need the motion. What we need is if you have the question, we put the question to, and then we send it off.
Let's just keep it cleaner.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it cleaner. Let's make a motion, and then there's no question afterwards, or the record doesn't reflect that we just asked.
I don't want to make a habit of that, because then in the future, when we want to get town council and we have to get a vote, because that's the precedent we set. So I'm not interested in making a motion.
Okay, so Gordon made a motion. I'll be looking for a second. Gordon, you made a motion, right?
No.
No, I just said that all we need to do is come up with the questions and just ask them. We don't need a motion to ask town council. If the board has questions, we just send them to town council. So as the board, if we have questions, we'll write them down. We understand what the question is, we send it off.
Okay.
I mean, you're making a motion to use town council, but we don't have a question yet. That's the thing.
Okay. All right.
And we need to kind of make the question during the meeting, because we can't have conference about this outside of the meeting.
Okay. So is it fair that we should get out all of our, or how do you want to proceed with this? Do you want to?
I would say that,
The next meeting, or do you want to send those questions to Joanne during the process? No, probably bring all the questions to the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we've got stuff to look at this point. If we think we have questions, then let's formulate what we want to ask at the next meeting, and we'll send it off.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Rick?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Mr. Bracken, is there anything else you want to talk to us, or is there I'll ask you first.
I appreciate all the time and input you've already given us. The only last thing I would like to mention is that when Scott Burgess, the owner, he did come in last year, I believe. I think it was just a fact-finding meeting. It wasn't anything official. At that point, he was trying to I believe, just build one house for himself up in the back. But because of, I guess, frontage issues maybe with Hilda Lane and the existing house having access from it, that might have created some technical problems. But I just didn't want to leave the meeting thinking that we were already here a year ago with anything official. I think it was just something to be discussed with the board that never went forward. That's all.
I think you're right. I think that's the way it went.
Yeah.
He came in with some ideas, and then kind of left with the idea that that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
He wanted to shorten the road so that it didn't go over the bridge, if I remember correctly.
All right. Charlie, I don't know that we need to ask any more audience participation. I think we've asked all the questions. Does the board have anything else? If not, we'll let Mr. Bracken leave us.
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
I'm satisfied.
And I'm okay. Rick, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Bracken. You're going to submit. I just saw something on the chat. Joanne will probably be in touch with you to give you the necessary forms for the extension. I think that's what she said, but just reach out to her just so that we can get that extension on file on the site plan review.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, we are well over, we're at 8:10, was Cled's Tree Service. There was a fire there. We got notice earlier that Mr., I don't know if it's Cled or Mr. Ferrera, was not going to be in tonight. So I don't know that there's any, unless some of the members of the board want to make any suggestions or discussions. I think everybody knows there was a fire there, and that Cled's Tree Service has probably about 20 times the normal amount of wood chips that's supposed to be there. I have spoken with the, I have spoken with the fire chief. I know he's working on some process for Cled to remove them. You're supposed to have, or you're allowed to have somewhere around 300 yards. I estimated he's got somewhere around 4,800 to 5,000 yards. But since Mr. Cled's not here, anybody got any comments? We'll move on to the next item. Hearing none, we'll go into discussion items. Autumn Lane, to my knowledge, Mr. Triani has not gotten back to anybody. Mr. Palmieri is the one that instituted this, so we can leave it on the agenda, or we can take it off, whatever the board's pleasure is. But Mr. Triani has not responded to any of the emails from the office.
Well, did Mr. Palmieri start that, or was it Triani? I thought we got something from Triani and then we got nothing back afterwards.
From what I understand, we got something from Palmieri, that Palmieri said that Triani contacted him. That's the way.
That's how it came?
I believe that's how it came.
Came through him? Okay.
So.
But then he never contacted us.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And Joanne, if you're on there, you can either agree or not agree that we didn't get anything from Triani at all.
Right. No, we have not heard from him at all.
Okay. All right. Next item is going to be Pasture Lane, just a status report. I just want to report that a plan was submitted to the Board of Health for the septic system. I did get a message from the owner today that they're waiting for the approval of the plan, which was done, and that they're going to be applying for permits. So hopefully we might get some conclusion to this problem by year's end.
Well, you mean on building the house or finishing the street?
The finishing the street has precedence. They can't build a house until the street's finished. That's the way I understand it. So if they get a building permit, then I don't believe they're going to be able to get a building permit until the street's finished.
Right. Do we have any status on the street being finished?
They need to apply for a building permit first.
Well, they're not going to get a building permit until the street's done, because
Right.
we're not going to release it until the street is done.
Correct. So
whether they put up a cash bond, one or the other, but
yeah,
at this point, I would think that we're going to push them to get that street done. This thing has gone on forever.
They shouldn't be getting a permit.
I'm assuming, and I probably shouldn't assume that they're going to apply for a permit. That's the only information that I have.
Well, maybe we should motion to make sure that the building office is on the same page as us, that the permit cannot be issued until the street is completed. And I think that's what we should do to make sure. So I think that maybe I'll make a motion to send the building office a letter from us, the planning board, stating that until the street is finished, the permit can't be issued.
I think that's a given, but I mean, that's fine. We can.
I just like to put it in the file.
Okay,
So I'll make that motion.
Gordon, am I correct that in the covenant, that's part of the agreement? There's some covenants involved?
Yes, and I believe the building department's aware of that too, but I mean, we could send a note over there saying, beware that the road's not done until it's done.
I don't have a problem with that. If you want to make a motion, so be it, but I think we can instruct Joanne that to send a letter to the building department that there is a covenant in place and that we're requesting no permits be issued until such time as the road's completed.
Okay. Anybody want to second my motion?
Second.
Okay, I'll go to a roll call vote. Amy,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Alan, yes.
I mean, maybe what they're doing is looking to see if they can get a Board of Health permit and everything to make it a buildable lot, you know, as far as a septic design. To say, yeah, it is buildable, now we'll finish the road. That might be what they're up to, I don't know.
Well, maybe we should
Makes
see.
sense.
Then that's for them to tell us. That was a message they got today. I know that the septic plan was approved last night, and that was an email I got today. So, all right, we'll go on to Complete Streets program. Has anybody come up with any ideas? I know we have till April, but I just want to, hopefully if everybody can come up with 3 different ideas, we can pool them all together in January and get them over the highway.
I've been working on some, I'll pull something together for our next meeting.
Okay, fine. I have a couple of ideas too, whether or not, but let's put them all together and
Yeah. We put them on the table and see what we get.
Okay. O'Reilly's is on the agenda for discussion, sidewalk entrance. I believe that was completed. That they painted it according to some ADA standards. So I think that's why it's on the agenda. I don't know if everybody's gone by. I did see it. I didn't stop in, but I did see it, and it looks okay to me. And as Gordon had said the last time, initially when we went out and looked at that, it looked like you were heading right out to 106, but once they got it paved, it did look much better. I think I'm okay with that, unless anybody else has got another issue.
I think it looks good.
And the paint looks like it lines, you know, gives whoever's walking a direction, so.
Correct. And I think they told me they were going to narrow it, bring it from 6 feet at the opening down to around 4 or 5 feet where it connected to the new pavement. Somebody going to be okay? Okay.
Sounds like choking.
Okay, we'll go on to correspondence. I think everybody got the pictures of Autumn Lane from Amy. But Autumn Lane, that's the Triani. Yes, okay. So we can leave it on the agenda. I'm not really sure at this point what we can do to expedite it.
I think really what that's sitting there waiting for at this point is for them to finish up when they want the town to accept it. Because the street has not been accepted.
Correct. So do we have any leverage now? Other than, I mean, I saw tons and tons of emails and from a few years ago, and that didn't seem to go anywhere. We can either leave it on the agenda or.
Well, what happened is that for a long time, the top coat wasn't on and all of that. That stuff's been done. Now it's bounds and, you know, the as-built, that type of thing. So there's really, you know, we're not getting the complaints from the people because the street's going to be plowed and so forth.
Okay.
So now it's more of, you know, when they're tired of paying taxes, they'll get it done.
Okay. We have 2 emails from Penny Pomeroy on the 8 Hillborn Lane subdivision. I'm sure everybody saw that. I have an email from myself to the fire chief and the building inspector regarding the inspection that I did at Cled's based on the fire. I measured the temperatures of the pile and measured the pile. We have an email from Scott Casagrande, and I believe that issue has been put on hold. He questioned the need of some floor drainage. And I think I forwarded my comments to Scott, to Joanne, and she shared them with the rest of the board. And unfortunately, it's a Board of Health regulation with floor drains, but it's really a plumbing issue. So my suggestion to him was, you know, talk to the plumbing inspector or a plumber and come up with some sort of plan for floor drains. Another email from Charlie regarding the greenhouses that I remember at one of the meetings, someone said there was greenhouses and his email.
What I heard, yeah.
Solar panels. We had an email to Close Tree Service requesting his presence. He did send an email back tonight that said that he wasn't coming and he didn't want anybody on his property. So my suggestion is we're probably going to have to reach out to council to see how we're going to proceed. From me looking at the file, and those who've been on the board longer, I'll have some better idea. I recall from a Board of Health point seeing a site plan. I don't know that that's in the planning board file. I know that there's an office there. There is no septic system, but there is no water. The pile is very concerning. When you got that much mulch or wood chips over there, that's a potential problem, and they did have a fire. And we do have from the Board of Health office some complaints from some of the neighbors.
Which neighbors?
To the right, E and W, no, to the left of the building.
Newcomb's Trees?
Pardon me?
Newcomb's Trees, that one?
No, to the other side?
Liddell?
No, there's somebody in between.
Wes.
Yes, yeah, WES.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it in the our mail folder last night. There was some complaints about some smells. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is to reach out to council. Oh, let me just stop for a second. From what I could tell from the record, and you guys might know better, that a year and a half ago, he came in front of the board. There was some mention there about not cutting firewood. That's not really clear. But he was supposed to come back last July for an update on a site plan, which was not done. So we have no site plan, and we got a massive amount of wood chips.
When you go in Industrial Drive, is this on the right or the left?
The right.
Oh, I was thinking about
Right after that, where you said the Newcomb tree sign is, it's that next, it's the one, you can't miss the trees. There's got to be a couple of 100 feet of trees that are probably 30 or 40 feet high. So.
Just for a point, I recused myself from this site.
Okay.
He does work for me, so.
Okay. All right.
I looked into it a little bit. I mean, does NFPA 1 apply as far as fire access, access around the wood chips, height of logs, lot line setbacks, vice versa? It's almost like he should, my opinion, is hire an engineer and see what the setbacks regulations are and pretty much tell him what, if he's gone overboard. I mean, I got nothing against somebody having a business. That's great. He's doing great. I just did a drive-by. I looked at it. It almost seems like he's kind of outgrown the lot, with everything he's got piled up. And
Is that a fire department code, though?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know how we would apply that.
Yeah, that is a fire code, but he's also got a section of the fire code, is Chapter 31, forest products, that he's nowhere in compliance. And I agree with Rick. The issue we have now is he didn't come to our meeting. He doesn't want anybody on the property. So at this point, I think our only hope is, or our only course of action is to talk with council to see what we can do. In reviewing the record, he's never filed for any site plan or never paid for any site plan. He hasn't put any fees. If there was a site plan, he hasn't provided any fees for that to be reviewed. There's nothing in the record that shows that. So he's operating, I guess I'd say, illegally. So, and I agree with Rick. I mean, we should have a plan. But we need to explain that to him. And if he doesn't want to appear, what's our next course of action?
Oh, is it our position to tell them what to do, or does the fire department have to get involved, or who has to enforce this?
The fire department has to enforce the fire code.
What number Industrial Drive is this?
They have to file the industrial code. The the fire chief is responsible for the fire code. All right. We, as a planning board, are responsible for the site plan. So I did see on the fire chief's phone a picture of a site plan, which I could not find as part of the file that showed some areas where they're going to be logs stored and wood chips. That's not part of the file, so I don't know where that came from. And the fire chief, when they were out there a year or so ago, they took pictures, overhead pictures. So you can see how much is amassed from last year to now. I mean, it's doubled in size, the piles and so forth and so on. Again, it's the fire chief. It's his responsibility in the code. I think it's our responsibility that he operates within our laws or our site plan, or if he does have a site plan. So, anything else?
1 second, I'm just looking it up so I can be.
Oh, I think you quit. I think it's 450 or 500. The only thing that we could find in the record was prior owner has got some funds sitting in the account, but nothing from Cled's Tree.
$47,600 next. So that, all right. So that's next to the property that I sold. Isn't your nephew the Newcomb's Tree owner next door?
Correct. No, he doesn't own Newcomb's Tree.
I believe that we had a site plan on this come through while I was on here. I can't remember the date. I can look at my files and get back to you. But I know there's a septic system on that plan.
There's nothing been built.
So am I looking at 550 then? Not 450?
I don't know what
550 who came through?
I don't know. I don't know what you're looking at, but I believe the address is 450.
All right. Well, I would like to just do a little bit more research before I start saying that we have any plan at all. Like I'm going to go pull the file.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that. I've done the research, so I think
well, I'm just finding out about it tonight. So.
Okay. I think she sent out an email. I think I sent an email out a week ago asking for the board members to get down and take a look. So if you didn't get it, you didn't get it.
I didn't get it until tonight.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is 450 Industrial Drive. Mr. Bracken did the original site plans for that. He did forward what he had to Joanne, which really wasn't complete. So, but we'll work on that along with whatever course of action we're going to take. Email to Casey Branch regarding O'Reilly's. A letter did come in today that Mr. Birch, sorry, I called him Branch. Mr. Birch is going to be forwarding our request on to the company that owns that building so that we can get that gentleman paid. Another email went out to Don Triani. And then on 11/24, Alish Karate, and I believe he might have been on in there regarding the as-built. Did you want to speak, Mr. Karate? Rahati?
Hi, good evening, everyone. No, I just was on the call just to see if all the submissions to the conservation were accurate. We did submit the as-built plans just today to Mr. Rob Pisarelli, and the hope was that it was submitted to conservation as well.
Okay. Did you also submit a plan to the planning board office?
Yeah, there's a plan there.
Oh yeah, yep. Yes, I'm right. Because I saw a plan. It was 1 inch is 100 scale, which I thought was quite large, but I think that'd be sufficient. Yep. All right. I'm not 100% familiar with that site plan, folks. So, and I don't see anything in our site plan language that, hold on. In our language that provides us a mechanism to sign off on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gordon, you've been around, Amy, you've been around. I would like to have the site plan, everybody view it, take a look at it, and we'll put it on our next agenda to see if there's any questions. The only thing that I know about it was the trees, and hopefully, Mr. Alish, the trees were installed according to the original plan?
Yeah, that's correct. All 38 white spruce trees were installed, and the as-built should capture that. And the Concom chair was on site as well to confirm that. Miss Kathy Evans, I think.
Did you submit one as-built plan to the office, or was it multiple? Maybe
It was I think 3 full-size sets as per Terry's request. Yeah.
Is there anybody that wants to look at that full-size plan?
Yeah.
I actually looked at it today as I saw it today. I mean, I can look at the as-built all I want without the proposed plan, you know?
Okay. Well, Joanne would have to pull out the folder and give you the proposed plan.
Yeah.
All right. Gordon, did you have a question?
Yeah, I said I want to take a look at that. Is it in the office now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the office.
Just one copy for us in the office.
Yeah, that's fine.
Joanne, could we just put this on our next agenda? And that'll give the board members some time to review it, and then we'll take any appropriate action then.
There is a sign off for the site plan too.
Where is it?
We need to make a sign off when it's completed.
No, but where in the language is it? Is it something on the plan, or is it? I mean, I looked at our bylaw, and I didn't see anything in the bylaw, but that doesn't mean there isn't anything out there. Is there a form that needs to be signed?
Well, it's before occupancy. We sign off on the site plan, so you know.
So that's part of the building permit process?
It's part of the site plan. When the site plan's been completed, we get the as-built, we get it in, then we sign off that it's completed.
Okay, so are they
we sign the plan.
Okay, so they're required to put an area on there for the planning board to sign off, the stamp section.
Well, I mean, they can put it on, we write it on.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to be recorded at the registry of deeds or anything.
No,
But we have it in our folder that it's signed. We acknowledge that it's completed, and then they can move forward.
Okay, so it's more of an acknowledgement than signing off. I didn't see it in the bylaw, so I got to rely on what you guys are telling me. If there's an acknowledgement and Mr. Ali should put it on the plan, then we should go look at it, and those members that are comfortable with it should sign it.
Well, I mean, we take a vote. We take a vote.
Take a vote on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if I may add, like on other projects of mine with other towns in Mass, I've seen like it's usually a letter that comes out from the planning board saying that a vote was taken, and 5-0 or whatever the vote count is recorded in that letter, and it comes signed from the planning board's director.
Okay. Right. So if that suffices and if that works for you, Gordon, Joanne can put it on our next agenda. Let's just make sure that whoever wants to look at it, Joanne can put the original plan together with the as-built where there's only 3 copies. Whoever goes in to look at them might want to just spend a few minutes there.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. And Joanne, you'll add that to our next agenda, and then Mr. Alish, you can either.
I did. I'll put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
The only question I would have is when would the next planning board meeting be?
Joanne can tell you that.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's
December 17th.
Gotcha.
17.
Next one is December 17th.
Got it. Thank you.
Is the proposed plan or the one that was agreed upon by the planning board also with that plan so we can compare it?
Should be in the folder.
That's what Joanne's going to do. She'll put both plans together so you can go up and review them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because what happens is we sign the site plan, and then once we sign it, we don't have enforcement over the site plan. That goes to the zoning officer to enforce. So after we approve it, then that's it. It moves on.
Yeah, I know you did say that, Gordon. I did not find that in the bylaw, so if you can maybe share that.
Well, what I would ask you is, where does it say we have enforcement? We don't have powers of enforcement.
It doesn't. That's really not clear in the site plan. It doesn't really say who does have the power for enforcement.
Well, I know obviously we don't have enforcement, so the only one that has enforcement in the town would be the zoning officer.
But
so that's where the enforcement.
I have to defer this out. Is the site plan a zoning bylaw or is it a general bylaw?
Well, I think, as we were talking about before, getting a hold of town council, let's run it by them.
Okay, fine.
Add
it to the list because the zoning enforcement officer's his responsibility is zoning. Regular bylaws, depending on how it's set up in the regulation, would be Board of Selectmen or be the board. If it was a health regulations, that'd be by the Board of Health. But I'll get a clarification on that.
Because we had issues at Walmart, and that's how it went. So
on Walmart,
site plan.
You're saying zoning on the site plan, the zoning officer handle that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Email from Cheryl's, Larry's Taco. I guess they're putting it off until next year. And then there was a public records request I think everybody got from Gordon regarding emails between me and the secretary. Next item on the agenda is notices from the abutting towns. And we have one ZBA petition. Anybody got any questions on that?
I had none.
I had none. I know that Bridgewater made some serious zoning changes, but I didn't see anything unusual. Amy?
No, I'm good with those.
Okay. Rick?
No, I got nothing.
Okay. We don't have any bills. One major thing I want to discuss is the ZBA is holding another continued hearing on the 40B Country Club Estates on December 16th.
Yep.
I was hoping that the board would have some comments as a board. If not, I'm just going to make the comments looking at it that I made. If you do, either share them with me now or just get them over to Joanne. For those that watched it, I think, Amy, you were on, right? I don't know if Gordon or Rick were on. We didn't get into the building part. I discussed some of the drainage issues and some of the septic issues, and those are the only concerns that I'd be looking at. So does anybody have any comments? If not, you can share them with that, and I'll post them on the December 16th when I go back on there.
I should be able to make the December 16th meeting.
Okay.
I could not make the last one.
Okay, so do you want to make whatever your comments you want to make individually? I mean, I can.
Well, I don't care. I can share with the board, and then
Okay.
ahead of time, I can send them over to Joanne.
Okay.
So everybody's aware of what I'm looking at.
And I'll do the same thing.
Yep.
What I'm going to ask Joanne to do is to post that. The only thing that I do need to know prior to the meeting, if all the members are going to attend and they're going to comment from a planning board standpoint, then not only do I need to post a meeting, but I need to open the meeting and then close the meeting, and then possibly have Joanne take minutes of what we discussed. I think that's the proper procedure.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think at the last meeting we all said that we wanted it to be posted.
Well, you did, but what I'm saying is if anybody wants to comment as a board, we're going to make.
We're all going to be together in a quorum, so it has to be posted, and then it would be technically a meeting.
Correct, but
I did already post that.
Thank
I
you.
have already posted it.
You're going to post it, but I still have to, if we're going to make comments based on a board, then you have to open the meeting.
That's correct. So,
So,
like you said, if we're gonna make comments, then we're gonna have to do an official opening of the meeting, and then you gotta close the meeting.
okay. So we're gonna take a peek at what
Kind
comes in.
of on the side of what the zoning board's doing. We
Exactly.
kind of got to do that, let them know that we're going to open our meeting and be there.
So what'll happen is a few days before that, once Joanne gets all of the comments, then the decision will be made, and I'll share that with Bert Gaynor. When he opens his meeting, then we can open ours if the board's going to have comments. That doesn't restrict you to making any other comments that you want on an individual basis. But if we've got 3 or 4 things that the board has a general consensus, I'm not looking for a vote, but if
Let's keep it simple, stupid, and
general consensus.
Let's keep it simple, stupid, and since the meeting's posted, let's just open it and close it.
Okay. All right, and get that in at least a few days before that meeting so we can digest it.
Did they say exactly what they were going to discuss on that? Because they were kind of separating things out, weren't they?
Yes, they are separating things out, and
Fire.
kind of a little confusing because they want to proceed with the first phase, and then it's kind of phased so that like the septic part really is not in the first phase, and I think the building part is maybe in the 3rd or 4th phase. It was kind of new to me, but in the first phase they continued it. And we did discuss some of the drainage issues. They discussed the roadway issues not blending in with Stop and Shop. And then they were going to maybe do something with the traffic lights to make sure that people weren't coming in and out at the same time. There were some questions on parking. They were going to eliminate some parking to put a 5-foot strip in, which I don't know that that's a smart thing to do with, when you get 2 parking spots for each unit, and everybody knows, everybody's got friends, but that was the first phase. That was the first phase, and it sounds like that there's at least 4 phases.
Is that other meeting available to go on and see? Do you know?
You can check with the ZBA. I would assume. Well, I don't want to assume anything. These Zoom meetings, I have no idea if they're recorded or not. You got to ask somebody with a little.
Yes. Those are recorded.
Okay, so if they're recorded,
so how do you
Joanne, can Alana send them a link for that, or where does you get a link? You go to.
That's right on YouTube. Those are on YouTube, just like our planning board meetings are.
Okay.
Area 58?
Yeah, Area 58, yep.
Okay.
No, that's not YouTube, Area 58, is it? No.
Yes, it is.
That's the station that it's on YouTube. It's like a station because that's who records it, sort of, right, Joanne?
Okay. All right. You can see how much I do YouTube. Okay. Last item, we have minutes. First of all, we have October 15th, 2020 signatures. Joanne, I just need a little clarification on that. Do we not sign off on that October 15th minutes?
That was, yeah, Amy didn't want us to use the signature stamp. She wanted to sign that. So, yeah, so I just said when that's all signed, that you could submit it to me and I'd post it on the website.
Okay.
Are they at the office to be signed?
Who had that copy?
Didn't we sign them?
Amy had it at, nope, you approved them. But
We
Amy,
did sign those. And they were in the box that went back to the planning board.
no, not the 15th. The,
Oh, those are the 3rd, right?
I wrote, right, that was the 3rd, and then I wrote to you and said that if you could, because you didn't want this signature stamps to be used, so you wanted to sign those in person. So I asked Amy if she, all the signatures were there, I could post that.
Okay, do you need any other signatures from the 15th?
I'll put that on my list for tomorrow morning, Joanne, and I'll look and see what it is. And if I have that copy, then I'll bring it into the office for everybody else to sign. Does that work?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So no one signed, Joanne, no one signed those?
No one signed that. No one signed the 15th.
Okay. All right.
Oh, because were we on Zoom again? Like everything's so weird on Zoom.
Yeah, okay, so
Is there a problem with the the signature stamps?
Amy doesn't want to use it. Amy didn't
said she
want to
didn't want
use,
to sign them.
Amy did not want the signature stamps used. She wanted to be able to sign those.
Okay.
That was her copy, so I had given you my copy of the meeting minutes, but Amy had her revised copy. So that was the one that you were going to sign. I didn't have that copy.
So can you use the stamp to sign my name?
I can, but Amy wanted hers signed. If you, I
I'll
guess,
come in and sign.
Okay.
So that's the only signature you need on that one, Joanne, is Amy's?
need everybody's signature. Nobody has signed that yet.
Okay.
Unless you want me to use your signature stamp.
Okay, how did that vote go? Do you remember? I know we voted some that we didn't agree with.
You all approved it. You all approved it.
Okay, then I don't have a problem using my stamp, my signature. Rick, how about you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Use a stamp.
Okay,
Okay, so
Gordon
this
says
is-
okay, so
It's
put our
Amy-
4 on there and Amy can come in and sign.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, and then we have November 5th meeting minutes. What's the board's pleasure? We got 2 versions.
I'm make a motion to use my version with the additional information.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Which one was this?
November 5th, Amy's version.
We have copies in the folder.
What? The folder I'm supposed to get today?
Yes,
Did you get
it was in your folders.
Yeah, I never got a folder today. It wasn't there when I went there to get it.
I did put yours there. I put one for you, one for Alan, and one for Gordon. Those were the 3 requests that
I'm glad this is brought up. I'm glad this is brought up because at our meeting, I forget which one it was, we asked that we would all have a folder, so it's too
No.
difficult,
Yes.
too
No, that was-
difficult for us. All right, so we all want a folder.
Going forward, you all want them? I
Okay.
only
Yeah,
had
we can't
requests.
go and like give you approval at each, time.
So today it was
Nope.
first
You
come,
leave
first
us a
served. They come to
folder
folder.
for each meeting.
No. Originally, I had asked who wanted those, and I said, if you'd like them, just let me know. And I even sent out emails about that, and the only 3 that let me know were Alan, Gordon, and Rick. So
Yeah.
that was why Mark
But-
did not request them, and Amy did not request them.
I want them for every meeting.
Okay.
But when we went,
So-
wait a minute. When we went to the Zoom meetings, during our meeting, we said we needed the folders for us to be able to do these Zoom meetings because it's crazy to try to find an email. It's impossible to find them. You got to go through one email and there's attachments in there and you're zipping through and you can't find them. And personally, I'm not going to pay to print all this stuff out on my own printer. My printer's not that good, and it's foolishness. I mean, we are all members of the planning board, and we need to have the stuff in our folder, and we all need a folder. If somebody doesn't go up and pick it up, it's no different than having them at the meeting. We print the stuff for the meetings. Now that we're on Zoom, it just doesn't make any sense not to have it for every member.
Okay. Hey, Joanne, I recall your emails and I know I responded, but from now going forward, let's do a folder for everybody. If they're not picked up, we'll throw them away. That solves the problem.
So what happened to the folder? What happened to my folder? Who took that one?
I'm sorry?
I grabbed
Who
stuff
took my folder?
today. I grabbed the plans and I just grabbed an envelope. I didn't see any names
Oh,
on it.
so you got
There
my.
was a name on each one.
I didn't mean to though. I just grabbed what I thought was
Okay.
there. for
Okay,
us.
why don't we, going forward, I'll print them for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
your name's on it.
Rick, what I'm going to do at this point, Joanne, leave the November 5th meeting minutes. You can record them as being drafts. Put this first item on our agenda the next time. Make sure Rick gets a copy of it. And
He also had it by email as well.
okay, the other thing too is
I think he read it last meeting.
when we have, just so that I know and everybody knows, when we have our next Thursday meeting,
The 17th.
Joanne, when do you think you want to have folders ready? I know the agenda goes out 48 hours, which would be Tuesday. we assume that by Wednesday, we're going to be able to pick up a folder, or would you want to do it on Tuesday? Let's let everybody know, and then they can,
Yeah, if you want them on Tuesday, I could do it on Tuesday. I mean, it's not the most up-to-date information, but I usually do bring them in on Wednesday, even though that's my day off. That's when I print them and I bring them in and put them there for everyone.
okay. Is everybody okay with Tuesday, or do you want them Wednesday?
I would like the most updated so that we can follow along with everything. So
Yeah,
how she's doing it, just make it for everyone.
Gordon and Rick, does that work for you, Wednesdays?
Wednesday would work for me. That's fine.
Rick?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so Joanne, if your agenda is posted, if something changes Tuesday night to Wednesday, you can update us, but once you plan on having stuff ready for Wednesday, you just send out one quick email that where it's going to be. And
what time on Wednesday would it be roughly?
well, she doesn't work Wednesday, so
No, I know, but I'm just saying, so that, you know, if you're working in town, that's good, but if you happen to be out of town, it's just, you know.
Because of the COVID, I haven't been going until after the building is empty. So I go in on Wednesday, like after everybody leaves, about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I usually am there for a couple of hours, catching up with all my stuff and filing things. And then I leave everybody's folders. So.
So they'll be there Thursday morning.
So I do it, they've always been there, Alan, when you've gone to the Board of Health meetings. I've had them there before you were at the meeting.
Yeah.
So you could pick them up on Wednesday night or.
So Joanne, why don't we do this, just so that
Thanks, Joanne.
Gordon's got a good point. I did have to send somebody today. Why don't you're working on Tuesdays. Why don't we figure on Wednesdays, Tuesdays, they'll be available. If there's any updates, you can let us know. If that works with you, that way, if you're out of town.
Why don't we just let her do what she's doing, and then on Thursday we'll come and pick them up, and that way they're the most updated. That just works.
Well,
Yeah,
here's the problem is Thursday, if you got a busy day and you're
That's
not
right.
back until 5 or 6, now you got a big package to look at. I'd like to do the research. So,
I would as well.
yeah, I don't want to have 1 hour to come in and look at all the emails. So, how about you? I think more time is better.
It's getting more and more complicated as we get these projects in.
Yeah.
We need to have a little more time rather than shuffling through things at the last minute. Because if it comes in on Thursday, I'm not going to see it until just
So I'm
before
not-
the meeting.
I'm not sure when you want them there by. I'm not sure what you're.
So why don't we say Tuesday?
Well, they fog the building on Tuesday afternoons after everybody leaves, the employees leave. So that's why I haven't gone there. I don't think they want me in the building while they're fogging it. So that's like after they leave at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock is when they. So that's why I've been going on Wednesdays after everybody leaves the building. So I usually have them in the mailbox by 5 o'clock on Wednesday.
Oh boy, here we go with COVID. Guys, that is a problem. I mean, I'd like to get them as soon as we can, but I mean, she's going to.
Well, at least we'll have the emails that we can look over ahead of time, and then on Thursday we'll have the hard copies. You know what I mean?
Rick, how does that work for you for looking at them? I know you're busy. I mean, it only gives you Wednesday night and then Thursday.
I don't think anybody looks at them.
But she's not going to be able to comply with that, I think, is what she's saying because of
No.
COVID, and that's fine with me. Like, but she does give us the emails ahead of time.
I do send the emails as I get them when
You
there's
do.
emails.
So-
So
so-
sounds like it,
So Joanne, what works the best for you?
Wednesday is the best for me, but if that's not for you, I can do it Monday. It's just not going to be that up to date, but I can do that and the rest by email. I send you the emails on Thursday anyway with everything that's been in that package that you get on Wednesday.
Is the building open Wednesday night that we can get in?
The Board of Health meeting is I usually go before the Board of Health meeting. I'm there, about 5 o'clock.
Oh, we're having Board of Health meetings in person still?
Those are still in person. I think at 6:30.
Yes.
Those are
Is that
usually
every Wednesday?
while I'm there.
It's every other Wednesdays. It runs the same schedule as planning board. So,
Same
Oh,
night
right.
before?
yeah.
So the building is
Joanne,
open.
if Wednesday is what works, Rick, if you think you need it a little sooner,
Well, no, if we got the emails, I can always look at the emails. It's just nice to have the hard copies when we're sitting here right now doing something like this.
Exactly.
okay. So, hey,
Right.
Joanne, so what Rick is talking about is still a little different, and we've been doing this right along. As we get hard copies in of plans, I think, Rick, am I correct on the plans?
Yeah.
As we get the hard copies in, we can pick them up prior to that Wednesday. Because all you're giving us Wednesday is going to be our agenda and a copy of the emails. But as any plans come in, like you've been doing, you notify me, plans up in the office, I go in, grab a set. I think, Rick, you're doing that too now, right?
Yeah.
So if you continue doing that, let us know when the plan comes in, especially this subdivision on Hilda. As soon as that comes in, you let us know that it's going to be available. We can look at it at leisure. So all we're picking up on Wednesdays is going to be the most current agenda, a list of the emails, and any correspondence.
Whenever I'm notified that the plans are there, I always let you know so that, I'm not sure when everybody gets to read their emails so that they know they're there, but they're there available for whenever anybody can get in to see them.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
And just so that the board knows, I did ask Joanne a few weeks ago that when she gets submissions to get extra copies of hard copies, so that, because electronic transmissions, I mean, Gordon, you do plans, and Rick, you can't make heads or tails out of them other than with a magnifying glass. So she's been doing that, and I know the last couple of times, and I've got the plans here, so that seems to be working. So, Joanne, let's continue the way you're doing it, and let us, you'll notify us when we get new hard copies. But please, whoever needs a hard copy, just make sure Joanne's aware of it.
So are we getting the 5 copies of the hard plans?
We're getting 3 extra copies, I believe. So if the submission is for 5 plans, and Joanne has to circulate those 5 plans throughout the departments, that's totally separate. But during the COVID stuff, I think did I ask you for 3 to make sure they got 3 extra hard copies so that those members. So if you want one, I mean, if Amy, if you want a hard copy, and Mark wants a hard copy, we'll just make it 5.
Yep, please. Every meeting.
I did leave a copy for Amy and Mark as well in the mailbox.
Okay, so let's.
So everybody got one. I had 5 copies.
So let's keep it with 5, and then everybody gets a copy, and they can review it at their leisure.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, especially with this. I mean, we can't sit there at the table and pass it around.
No, not.
No. So it makes sense to be able to have our own.
Yeah, unless you come into my living room to do it. So, all right. Is there any other matters before?
I have a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. We're going to go to roll call. Amy?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Rick?
Absolutely.
Alan? Yes. Good night.
I thought Rick was going to stay for the night.
Good night to all. Thank you, folks.
Yeah.